Hello and welcome to Stage 10, final stage of Pursuit of Victory. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Okay, so first things first, I did this race and I am having trouble. So first of all, people ask my settings. Tilt beat controls, steering sensitivity 1, all assists off. Now let's test bot slowing because getting in the lead was no problem. Getting the amount of a lead I need a massive lead, 1554 meters, 1700 yards. To get that, even with off-track cuts, I was not having success. So we're gonna do everything. I slowed the bots down. I don't know if you could notice that there, but if you watched, you saw that the times kept getting lower and lower. Sometimes they jump around a bit, like it'll go like low 3 times and then up once. Sometimes low twice, up twice, but eventually it gets all low. Okay, so don't get damaged. I mean, I got tangled up there. Don't get damaged. Obviously, off track is allowed. Don't get damaged. You gotta be really fast. You can't afford to take damage because it's gonna slow you down. It's not that it's gonna be a problem with the stage, it's gonna slow you down. It actually affects everything. So in case you don't know this, once you get damaged, you get a decrease of speed, grip, and brakes and acceleration. It varies from car to car. Some cars will have almost no top speed loss, but they will have then more so of a grip and braking loss. And so you really don't want that. So here I'm gonna be careful also because Existence is in a Nissan. In my prior run, he was in a different car. Because he's in a Nissan, I need to take him out. Now let's check this out. How do you do a pit maneuver effectively without getting damaged? Okay, we're gonna go slow motion. Watch my gas. I gently make contact. I lift off the gas as I start to turn him. And then I'm back on that throttle to get around. So, the reason why you wanna be off the gas, if you're on the gas when you start to do the pit maneuver, he's gonna curve across your front bumper and crack your windshield. So that you can't do that with tilt A controls. You could brake, but what's funny is sometimes it'll still count as damage when you're braking. Tilt B controls, you can do that even in a stage that says don't take on damage. I've proved this in the past. There was one event where I did 5 pit maneuvers when it said don't take on any damage. So you can do this without taking on any damage at all. Your car won't even be scratched, which is shocking. And in case you don't know this, our cars can get horribly scratched up. It's pretty cool, actually. That's one way to check to see if you're getting damaged, if you ever want to do that. So I'm going to let this play through. We're not going to go through all races of Stage 10 because that would be a very long video. I will definitely be editing down races. There's also timestamp links, so you can hop around if you want to. But I want to show you how I'm going to be doing this. I'm not going to take all of the cuts. Like I could take a cut right here. I'm not going to bother this time around, even though this is a rougher corner for this car. This car is not, the low speed grip of this car is not good. It's got really good active downforce, so at higher speeds, it really digs into the track nicely. But at lower speeds, not so much. So you haven't seen all of my cuts, and which I will show you right away. Now coming up, not here, but the next curb here, if you hit this curb wrong, like I'm being a little bit too careful there. That's because, I'm going to do better later, but that's because I hit that curb a couple of times, hopped in the air, and slid out. And so I'm just going to be careful. Now watch this as I blast the chicane. Again, tilt B controls, watch. Lifting off the gas. Oh, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. That was not great. It wasn't bad. You lift off the throttle to gain control. It's a lot easier to steer when you're off the throttle. Of course, you want to go as fast as possible. Another big cut coming up right here. And again, I'm just going to lift when I need to gain traction. There we go. And then it's just kind of a repeat of the other stage. So let's just zip through some of this. Time to hit the nitro. Let's go 4 times regular speed because it just looks ridiculous. And I'll get more into some of my... Ooh, I clipped that wall. I'm going to get more into my braking points later and my acceleration points. It's not going to help you very much at this speed, but it just looks kind of stinking cool, actually. And we'll just zip through. I'll slow down as I get to the end of the lap here, as I get to Porsche curves, because that's where I have a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to slow down there. Ooh, hit that wall too. Like I said, low speed grip of this baby. Also, we have this weird setup where it's got more speed and less grip. Watch this. Because I've got that weird setup, I don't like this setup. I don't like it. Honestly, I'd be faster if it just had the regular setup. I really think I would be. Anyhow, this is what we've got to work with. So I'm still going to go slamming through this chicane because I just want to go fast and get this done with. Awesome. Okay, there we go. Zip through this. So that race was quite difficult. Oh, leveling up again. That's quite awesome. And this race, interesting. Average speed requirement. Also, not necessarily all that easy. So, and also you've got all these back markers, all these slow cars. So it took me a little while to figure out the dance here, the best way to get around the traffic. And it will vary each time you do it because the cars change. But remember, they're driving in formation. See? Formation. So left, right. But sometimes they get stacked up because you got LMP1s and then all the other, like the Porsche 911 RSR. So you got to be very careful. This is very risky. Woo! You can see that. I was so close. Very risky. You've got to really watch, and it's hard because it's dark. Also going to take another high-speed cut here, and again, it can go wrong, but you got to just be kind of acting fast. You're going to notice my tilt B controls lifting. There we go. I'm already in 5th place. And if you don't like what I'm doing, if you don't like seeing me taking off-track cuts, I think this actually is possible without cutting. Was a little bit unsure. Well, it's quite a speed you need to hit. If you don't like what I'm doing, go buy more upgrades. I've got no upgrades. Zero, zilch, nada. I've spent nothing. This has been all earnings so far. In fact, I've earned a lot of currency through this event because I've spent nothing. Not one R dollar, not one gold. Even on servicing, I'm watching ads for servicing. I'm not buying the engineer. Oh, I should have checked if he was free. I'll have to try to remember to use him. I thought I had saved up one of those VIP rewards of instant servicing for an hour or 2 hours, but I didn't have it. So, oh well. So I could go through some breaking points. Now here, I've missed most of the... You know what? Forget that. Forget about the breaking points because this is the weird setup. So basically, I'm backing up all my breaking points. I have to. So coming up here, I normally would be braking almost at the 3rd distance marker. Here I'm braking 2.5 because I've got more speed and less grip. So the brakes are the same, but I've got to slow down more to take the corners. You see what I'm saying here? And so that means you've got to alter all your braking points. So average speed here, it's like, basically 274 and up. So that's interesting. So effective off-track cutting helps you to hit that. This is possible. You can hit the speed without doing that. But just to make sure, I thought I'm just going to do this. Just to be 100% sure. I was really close on speed. I did a couple of attempts without any cuts. And it was just getting razor close. In fact, it got right near the end of the race, and my distance did that. My speed did that. So I decided, you know what? I don't want to do this again and again and again. Let's just get it done. So off-track cuts is what I did to get it done. Again, if you don't like it, buy upgrades. That's no problem. No sweat for me. Okay, we're going to warp ahead a whole lap here because you've already seen how I'm doing this. And you can see I have even more average speed. So we warped ahead right at the exact same point. So there was the Michelin sign was overhead, so we warped right to that exact same point 1 lap later. And average speed pretty good. Watch this. Lifting at key points to really not go flying off track. And that's going to do that one. So that one not difficult with off-track cutting. That's what I would recommend for that one. Now let's get going. So this one I did a test. You got to wait 15 seconds. I thought, well, maybe it just won't let me cross the start-finish line. Because someone was asking me if this is possible as an endless endurance race. And I thought, well, I'd like to back up and then go forward and log distance. Nope, not going to let you do that. So that lowered my target. Okay, so basic math, right? 60 minus 15 is going to be 45 seconds. As you might have noticed, I sped up that timer quite a bit. So I waited till it actually just hit 44 before I went forward. I'm going to cut just because I want to see if I can do an endless endurance race here, just because I was asked about it. It wasn't possible at the other endurance race because there was no off-track allowed. This one, it doesn't matter. And so to trigger an endless endurance race, if you're not familiar with it, you've got to pass 42 cars. And that's hard to do in a lot of endurance races without taking cuts. There's a handful of places you can, like Melbourne, you can do it there. One race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But all other places, you're going to have to take some cuts to pull it off, and wonderful earnings potential if you're not familiar with it. So we're just going to go to where I get into first place, and then we're going to warp ahead a lap so you can see what that's like. So I'm not going to go through everything, but you can know, like I'm passing, so I'm doing the opposite of what I've done in the past. This is not clock management technique. This is just go all out and try to pass as many people as you can. And if you can pass 42 cars before your timer runs out, you get a surprise. A whole bunch of cars start appearing, and you can go as long as you want to, including multiple versions at this track, which would be, let's see if I can name them off the top of my head. There's actually quite a few. The McLaren MP4X is the highest earning race in the entire game. 100% bonus fame day. You can earn 7,600 fame per minute if you hire the agent. It's nuts. Let's see some other cars. The Bugatti Bolide, the McLaren Senna GTR, Ferrari FXXK Evo, VW IDR. But anyway, there we go. 22.3 kilometers. You know, good earnings. Nice to see it. Now, this one had me worried with the fuel usage. I'm not going to use my brakes for this entire race. You just don't need to. Now, I did test this a bit, and on a lot of corners, you barely notice the difference. Like, there is a slight difference, don't get me wrong. If you want to be top-level competitive, you need your brakes. There are a couple of corners, though, a couple of sharper corners, the ones that I've been saying are not good for this car. You really need them. So here you can see I'm coasting, mainly because I don't want to get caught in this gaggle here. I want to be very careful. I'm staying on track as much as possible. Actually, that is all on track. You can do all that during a time trial. I know, because I have. So, we're not going to do any cutting at all, because this thing's going to lose so much speed when it's off track, and there's so much resistance when I'm off track, I'm just going to burn through the fuel. I did think about cutting the last chicane. Oh, I might have gone off track a bit there. I thought about cutting the last chicane. That actually would be a benefit, but I decided not to. I decided I'm just going to see what this is like. Do they give us enough fuel? The downside of the engine braking here is that this car just doesn't coast. Like, it just dies so fast. So I was worried that we're starting with over 3 laps and 9 units of fuel. That means you do not have 3 units of fuel per lap. You've got less than that because of the intro lap there, the out lap. So I'm lifting early. I'm lifting like kind of almost 1 marker early, almost that much. But there's no use letting your car grind to a halt. So there we go. I'm in first place. That was a 911 RSR. So I'm not worried at all about the other cars. My worry is, do I have enough gas? And so that's why you don't want to be you don't want to be nailing the brakes, because you will slow down even more, but not that much more, to be honest with you. But here you can see I'm lifting a lot earlier. Kind of cool, the safety lights there coming on even when you're off the accelerator. It makes sense. Okay, so maybe I should discuss my lifting points a little bit. Like I said, I basically am backing up my braking points. So I'm lifting like a marker earlier. So coming up here, instead of braking at the 3rd marker, well, that corner I'm lifting at about 2.5, honestly. This corner I'm going to lift. There's two distance markers with an overhead banner in between them, and I'll lift at about the banner, maybe a little bit earlier. So definitely not this banner. It's at a little bit up here yet. And we're not going to go through this whole race because that's going to be way too long. So this is the banner I'm talking about. And there I was lifting pretty much as I was going under that banner. But the next point here, I'm going to lift quite early. So I'm lifting before the end of the wall here. And then start your turn earlier. You're going to end up going way... That actually wasn't off track. My right sides were still on the curb, which is all you have to make it count. As shocking as that sounds. So that braking point you have to excessively slow down for. More than any other on this track. More than any other at Le Mans is that corner. Now we're going to warp ahead again at the Michelin sign. So here comes the big warp. We just skipped 2 laps. You can see that fuel actually is doing really good. So I'm really only using about 2.5 units of fuel per lap. So that's pretty good. You're going to see I've got a lot left over. so I can actually push it a little bit here if I want to, but I'm still taking it easy. Like, I don't care about the big lead because bot slowing works. Because there is no PR. This predates recommended and required PR, and there's no hidden PR. Okay, so this next race, this can look a bit confusing. Place in the top 10 to win this stint. But then the intro screen words it differently. Okay, watch my distance, my times. The top number one time started at 3:36. I couldn't do this my first try. I only got to 11th place. Now it's going up, down, but remember, I started at 3:36, now it's getting into the 350s. That seemed to be about where it peaked. And I thought, you know what, this is good enough, let's try this again. So the description, like the intro screen says, finish in the top 10 to win. But then the other screen says finish in the top 10 and win. That's not right. That's very confusing because that means winning is winning. Winning is number 1, not number 10. So I wasn't even quite sure. I'm really pushing it hard in this one. We're back to a normal setup. So distance markers, watch on your left. The distance markers start happening with no upgrades. I am braking just at the second distance marker. I believe it says 200. It's hard to see sometimes. Like, they're dark in this one, but it's definitely the second distance marker, and the bots can throw you off. Oh, I should have been in the throttle earlier than that. Still, it's not too bad. Same with the next corner. I watched the distance markers on the right, and I'm braking just about at that second distance marker again. So they're even though the chicanes are very different. This one took me, okay, here we go, right there, braking just a tiny bit past it. This chicane here, the second Mulsanne chicane, man, took me like 5-6 years to get comfortable there. It's just shocking. Okay, then on your left, distance markers again. This time I'm braking about 2 3/4 into it. So they're number 1, number 2, and then almost all the way to number 3, way over to the left. Start your corner earlier than that. Still, that's not bad. Now, with this setup, I am braking at the last distance marker, so not the overhead banner, past it. So you'll see, not here. I'm gonna give him a little grind here. On your left, there's gonna be a distance marker, then an overhead banner, then another distance marker, and that's when I'm on those brakes. Only going off track a little bit there. Oh, I didn't quite set that up properly. This is a hard race. This is one of the harder races of stage 10. There we go. I'm very happy with how I took that corner. And then we're heading into the Porsche curves, and we will keep on going. You know, I've learned so many things through this game. One of them is the word Porsche, because in North America, almost everyone says Porsche. Even on TV shows, they'll say Porsche. And so I got corrected when I started playing this game because I've never heard it called a Porsche. And then I started calling it a Porsche, and then I started having all these arguments with people, and it's like, no, that's somebody's name. You can't just say it how you want to say it. It's Porsche, or it's Audi. It's not an Audi, it's an Audi. And all that kind of stuff, you know. Ooh, a little bit off track there, but we're gonna let that slide. So, the lap just keeps counting. It almost counts this as one gargantuan lap, even though it's almost 2 laps. So that's it's quite interesting. So I'm really trying to be careful. Oh, he's in a bad spot for me. Worst possible spot for me to catch a bot. Now, heading into the Mulsanne, so here, a little braking point here. Full throttle now until the first Mulsanne chicane. Start this turn early. Watch how early I start that turn. And then I really straighten it out. Then I'm really hugging these walls. You're not so close that you tag it, and that's ridiculous. But you gotta hug those walls. So I'm 14th with nobody in sight. Like, nowhere to be seen, which is very scary. So again, I'm braking just at that second distance marker, boom. Even a bit late if you want to, then you gotta really start that turn early though. Look at that, so close to off track at 3 different points. I'm close to hitting the wall at 3 different points and only close to going off track once. So very, very, you know, you gotta push it so hard. I have spent a lot of time learning the limits of all tracks, especially this one though. So again, on the brakes now, after that second distance marker, starting that turn early. Oh, hitting Eric, not hitting Eric. Encountering Eric Hertz at the worst possible spot of the second Mulsanne chicane. Boy, that took me a while to get that out of my word hole. Okay, first, second, 3/4. It's about where I'm braking. There's actually a bit of a shadow across the track, or a mark. Works really good. Oh, that was pretty good. Fishbang. I don't know what that's supposed to be. If that's someone's name, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend. Eric Hertz sounds like a real name. Fishbang looks like it's a nickname. And again, we're going for the last distance marker. So, oh, it's going to get interesting because I'm going to encounter him during the braking zone. So right there, woo, got to be careful. Not going off track at all until here. Taking 2 tires off track increases your braking distance. Sometimes, like right here, that is necessary to really optimize your race line. And I've tested this at length, so you got to be careful with that. So same with going through the Porsche curves here. I do a very slight braking point here, coming up like after the second distance marker, 1, 2, and quite a while after that. And very, very, very short braking point. Okay, Gail Loken. I'm still in 12th. I need 2 more cars, like now. I've got Gail Loken. I need 1 more now. Where'd you go? I'm getting scared. Some of these stages, you actually could get away with a little bit of off track. This was one of them. Ooh, that's a close call. And there we go. I did it. Oh, that was a stressful one. Happy to have that one done. So you can see it says don't go off track. I thought I did, but there you go. I passed it. I thought at the last chicane that I went a little bit off track. Though sometimes if you have 1 tire on track, that's enough. Now this is a long race. We are definitely not doing this whole race. You do not need your brakes for this entire race, okay? Especially watch this. Woo! Thread that needle, baby. That was a little bit sketchy. With 5 laps, I'm not worried about winning this race. I don't expect it to be difficult, but you never know. So it's always, you want to be just mindful of that. Like here, oh boy, that was going really wide, wasting all sorts of time. Of course, because I've already done some bot slowing, and then, oh, my favorite Aston Martin, Lambo Coin was telling me that thing has shocking top speed, actually. So that's why he's all over our bumper, because especially he's a boosted bot. He's going to be an upgraded car. So thank you, Lambo Coin, for sending me the facts. I can always count on you. For those of you who don't know, Lambo Coin is an amazing driver. Top time trial driver. Lots of respect for Lambo Coin. And lots of respect for how much time Lambo Coin puts into helping other people. So double respect as a great racer and a great person. So thank you so much for being on my channel and interacting with people. Sometimes you'll get an answer from Lambo Coin before you get one from me, and sometimes it's better from Lambo Coin because more facts there. Anyhow, there we go. And you can also find Lambo Coin on the Real Racing 3 Wiki. Anyway, and so 10th place again. Look at this. I'm not. Ooh, I almost had a pit maneuver done on myself. I'm really surprised he got out of the gas there. If you guys recall, in stage 8, I think it was it stage 9? A bot named Drolted in that Aston Martin was just messing me up, like on my bumper, and then trying to do the pit maneuver on me several times. And you know what? It probably surprises some people. I love it. I love some, really hard competition, some aggressive driving, because frankly, I do some of the same stuff. You guys have seen me do pit maneuvers on guys. I don't mind getting someone trying to do it back to me. Also, I'm a bit of a NASCAR fan, so it's a little more encouraged in that realm. Kind of just like, do what you want, but be aware of the consequences. That was not off track. You can do that during a time trial. By the way, let's see here. I wanted to address a few things here. Someone was saying that they can't drive where I'm driving because they're getting penalties. And first I thought maybe you're just going a little bit further than I am, but then I remembered I've had that happen, where it's failing me where it shouldn't, and sometimes restarting my device solved it. Other times I had to reinstall the game. So if you're going to reinstall the game, always make sure you do a cloud save first, and then it's not a big deal. I'll throw up a video at the end of this, just shows you how to go through the process of reinstalling the game if you ever wanted to know how to do that. We're not going to do this whole race. We wanted to show you up to where I get into the lead, and then I'm going to just really skip a few laps. It's a long race. But yeah, sometimes reinstalling the game will clear out glitches. I've had it fix a lot of problems for me. It's one of the first things tech support is going to suggest that you try. So that can help with that. I've had that also fix control issues. Like for instance, times my steering just felt wrong, or brakes weren't working right, or gas wouldn't stay on. And sometimes that would fix it for me. So always a great solution. I've reinstalled a lot. I've never had anything bad happen. Whoa, that was razor close. Razor close to hitting the wall. Razor close to off track in both parts. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we can go off track here during this race if you want to. It's really not necessary. If you want to, you can though. But it's really not necessary. You can see there's a, what is it, pungent sauce? Boy, could you imagine if that was your actual name? That would have been brutal in school. Mr. Pungent Sauce. Watch this. Beautiful overtaking spot at Le Mans. Bots often brake right there, which is so ridiculous. In racing, you never brake at the exit of a corner. You set it up so you don't need to do that, because that's going to slow you down the whole next straight. Never brake at the exit of a corner. It just, no. You plan out your race line so that's not happening. So I find that very interesting. So that being said, if you're relying on brake assist, even brake assist low, it's going to sometimes make you brake where you shouldn't. So here's the problem. I've covered this in another video, but it's really simple. Brake assist high comes on way too early, holds the brakes on way too long, and comes on way too often. Brake assist low almost always comes on too late. And sometimes comes on when you don't need it, sometimes doesn't come on when you do need it. So because brake assist low generally comes on late, people think they need traction control. No, that's because you're braking too late and you've got the wrong race line. So you adjust those two things. You don't need traction control. I showed this at the beginning of this event. There we go, I'm in first place now. I don't have any assists on. The only time you're ever going to see me using an assist is at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Daytona Motor Speedway. I use steering assist high there. It actually helps to smooth out the steering. On all of the tracks, I can't stand steering assist high. It just messes me up. It will actually force you into a skid sometimes. So it makes you think you need traction control. It's just because steering assist high was set by the programmers who sometimes they don't know the best race lines. They're doing bot race lines so the bots don't collide. So that's sometimes what's happening. Okay, pretty soon we're gonna warp ahead. Like I said, we're not doing 5 full laps. It's way too much. But I wanted you to see this, that it's easy just to lift. See, lifting, and I wanted to show you that I'm really gaining on existent, that I don't have to worry about this. Let's warp ahead right here, actually, right to the end of this one. And very important tip before you start the next race, do not service your car before the last race. It's okay if you do, you'll still be able to meet the requirements. It's gonna be easier if you don't though. So don't service your car. Just wait. It's a solo race. There's no one else in it. We're not going to go through the whole race. Look at that, almost 16 minutes. So 1 lap, you got to do 5 donuts. It's easier to do donuts with bad traction. So I'm going to get a little bit of speed here, and then not too much, just a little bit. And then I'm going to throw it sideways, and then feather the throttle to get my donut going. So watch my gas pedal here. See, I'm off it. I'm on the brakes. Feather, feather. Now I can just keep it pinned. While I'm doing this, I'm going to switch to driver view, because that will enable me to see when I'm done my donuts. Or hood view, or bonnet view, I should say. Bonnet or hood view, whichever depends where you are, actually. And getting to 5. Okay, we'll come out of driver view, and that's about it, guys. So we're going to warp ahead to the end of this lap, because there is no challenge. You just do a whole lap. And so, yeah. And you could see, I mean, I had to take it easy because I'm in a slow car with totally degraded. And I'm going to show you that I did this with no upgrades and no skips, and I earned piles of currency. So please please subscribe. I'm going to bring up the playlist link right away. So there you go, no upgrades. Cheaper than free because of all my rewards. It's totally awesome. So here's the playlist link. Here's how you reinstall the game if you want to, or throw up something else here. Please please subscribe. I put out lots of videos all the time. Thank you so much for joining me today. All the best to you as you earn your Audi R18 e-tron Quattro. Bye-bye now.